Hey everybody, I'm Karyn. I can't even. I'm gonna
You
laugh right
Karyn?
now. Can't even
Who
say my
is
own
that?
name. I don't even know.
Who is
Might have
that?
gotten my own name
Who's
wrong. I was like, kick. Hey
Karyn?
everybody, KarynBryant here with,
Angie Overkill Hill.
and this is what had happened was. What had happened was. This
What
week.
happened with Karyn?
That's right. I'm in Phoenix. I went to the fights last night, which were awesome. And I know Angie, you were on the road. You guys went over to the Invicta tournament. How did that go?
Oh, it didn't go the way we wanted. I went with Paulina Granados. It was her first fight back in 2 years, but the way that the format was set up, it was like a little unforgiving for someone who has a little ring rust. But like, dude, I'm so proud of her. She did so good in her first fight. She lost the first half just because she did like a head and arm throw, and the girl was good on the ground.
Yeah.
She was able to use that and take her back. But after she got back up, like, dude, she murdered the girl. Like, she gave her a huge black eye. Like, did the most damage in the entire tournament, including like the girls who got to the last round. But yeah, I'm super proud of her. And the format of the Invicta tournament is really cool. Like, it's kind of like an homage to the older like Pride Days and Shuto, where you have like a bunch of fights in one night, and the winner takes home the big prize, or they get to fight the champion their next fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really compelling. Like, I love
That's
how
cool.
Shannon Knapp did that, and it was really cool. I wish they were doing that when I was in Invicta.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. Aside from not having the fight go our way, it was like a
Right.
split decision loss, so it could have gone her way, but it was still really close. Aside from that, like, it was a really fun experience.
That's
Yeah, good
cool.
times.
That's cool. And that's great
Yeah,
that you're able to find the positive in a negative outcome. And like you said, that if she was able to show off some things and feel like she still was able to come back and have a decent showing after a layoff, then that's cool.
yeah. No, I was super proud of her for what she did in there, and looking forward to the next one for sure.
Nice. Well, like I said, I went to the fights and I was sitting there watching and I was like, dang, Stylebender is good. like I already knew
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? We already knew that. We already knew that. But it was literally
Uh-huh.
at one point during the fight, I was like, man, Angie stands so hard. And I was like, she's just gonna be loving this fight for him because it started
Yeah.
to get to the point where as the fight went on, he was just so dialed in and just so it started to feel like he was a couple steps ahead of everything and he definitely knew what everything was coming and then he started kind of joking him a little bit and every now and then looking at the ref like, come on, get him off me. And, really started playing
Yeah.
with him. And you could just tell that he had gotten to the point where he was so in the zone that, he really, it just looked like it got into a certain point where the outcome was predetermined. And that's not to say that Marvin didn't still land some things because he did still land some really good shots, I thought. And every now and then some very hard shots. But to me, it was just one of those things where I was like, man, this guy is just, he keeps for the haters. Like, I don't understand what a hater could find now to look at Stylebender and be like, what are you mad at? What could you be mad at when you look at that
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was so impressive, like super impressive. And leading up to the fight, just seeing how aggro Vittori was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think a lot of fighting is cerebral,
Mm-hmm.
and because Adesanya is so cool and calm and collected, and Vittori is just like pure emotion, like you're like Italian emotion, like
Yeah.
it makes a difference. And I feel like you saw the frustration immediately in
Mm-hmm.
Vittori's face. Like, as soon as like the first bell rung, like after they did a round, and then the bell rung and they're walking back to their corners, like you could see the frustration in his
Yeah.
face. He's just like, what? Like, why is this happening?
He was
The
mad.
first
Yeah.
fight went so much better. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just, like, in the lead up, I felt like Vittori had more of a chance before we saw like them interacting and them
Yeah.
having interviews, because there is a lot of there is a lot of winning the fight in that. You see, like the
Sure.
most famous example is Conor McGregor being able to get a rise out of a lot of his opponents before they fight, so that they come in crazy and get
Yeah.
countered and dropped. So I feel like a lot of that you saw in this fight. This was a perfect example where maybe it would have been a little more even if Vittori had a little more calm and coolness, and he was able to get into a flow state and not
Yeah.
be so predictable with when he was going to come in. Adesanya was just so good at seeing when that big left punch was going to come. He just like and then get
Uh,
out the way. And then when he got taken down, he was calm, cool. He worked on
yeah.
a bunch of stuff. And Vittoria was a lot smaller than Blakovic, so he was
Yeah.
able to get those hooks in, get the butterfly hooks in, get back up to his shoulders, get his back on the fence, work his way up. Like he made it look easy. So it was a really impressive fight to watch for Adesanya, because everyone who is watching him fight, who's a grappler or who's a wrestler, is like, oh, I can beat the champ as long as I get him on his back.
Yeah.
That's what John did. That's what I have to do. And it's not that easy. It's not
No.
that easy. And Vittoria's one of the best in that weight class at doing that. But yeah, Adesanya proved that he's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did, I think he said something in one of the things he said, like he could tell that's when he broke Vittori's soul, or saw his soul leaving,
Mhm.
when he was able to reverse that submission attempt and get out of it.
Yeah.
And he could tell that that's when he knew that he had him in, because able to break him in that
Hmm.
fight. And yeah, it did get to that point. To me, I did think was very key, but it made me think of the fact that after his last fight, when they stayed in the States and they went to Southern California and they trained a bunch of jujitsu. And I remember they were saying
Hmm.
like they had a bunch of stuff that they studied, and took a bunch of stuff back with them after that trip. And so I did think that that was something that was like a big like, wow, look what I just showed you. That was a good display of like him leveling up and having this trick that he didn't have before.
For sure. He was very humbled, I believe, by his experience at Atos
Yeah, I think
in
so.
San Diego. And
Yeah,
there's so many amazing guys there, who are just killing it on the grappling
yeah,
scene, killing it in competition. So you walk in as an MMA fighter, you realize there's a big gap between what we have to be prepared for in MMA versus what they have to be prepared for
right,
as like BJJ competitors.
right,
So yeah, there's a learning curve, and get once you figure out a few key things, then it makes your experience there a lot easier to deal with. Like you can survive. First, you're getting your ass kicked. You're getting your ass kicked every day,
yeah,
getting tapped out by everyone. Then you're getting tapped out a little bit less. Then you're surviving, and then eventually maybe you can get close to maybe trying to submit one of them. But
yeah.
until then, you're just like working on all those skills. And I really feel like because they have an affiliate school out in New Zealand too.
Mhm.
I really feel like they were able to take some key things that those guys are really good at, and take it back home and just perfect it. So yeah, he's definitely still a martial artist when it comes to learning, retaining, being humble. Like he has this bravado image, but he is a very humble person. He does notice, like, hey, I need to work on this, this, and
Yeah,
this in order to make sure I stay on top. And then he goes and does it because, like, he worked too hard to get there. So why would he give it up just
right.
because, a little chink in the armor? So yeah.
Yeah, he's so good. And it's funny though, because I do remember at one point too sitting there like, he really is quote unquote skinny. You know what I mean? For the division, kind of the
Yeah.
same way that they pick on John Jones or something. When you look at him, like
Yeah.
versus somebody who's beefy like Vittori, and yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, yeah, it is interesting that he is on the leaner side and all that. And he actually weighed in at 183 and a half, which is kind of crazy. And there's
Mm.
all this talk about maybe one of the scales sometimes, like we were saying last time, is like 1 pound off, and this whole thing because
Yeah.
when he weighed in, we were like 183 and a half, which was kind of crazy. But it's amazing that he looks to be that way, and he seems like he's going to be that way. But then he's just so fluid, and then he started to get really creative, throwing some more of his creative kicks. But yeah, no, I think he just looked awesome. And then afterwards, he talked about fighting Whitaker again, but this time on his
Mm.
turf. And so I suppose
Mm.
that's the next logical step. I mean, that's it. I mean, what's it gonna do? What do you think? I think that
That'd
makes
be
sense.
fun.
Yeah, I know.
I'm down for it. I'm down for it. I know Whitaker's down for it, even though
Yeah,
there was that drama with him saying he wasn't.
right.
But he didn't say that, you know.
Of course not.
But
Of course he didn't say that.
I really do like Whitaker as a fighter as well. So
I love him.
yeah, I think that would be amazing fight. Amazing fight. He's evolved as well since he last
Mhm.
fought Adesanya. He throws that lead leg push kick a little more,
Yeah.
that push kick to the knee, and I'm like, ooh. It's always scary when you deal with someone
Oh,
like that. But
I don't like it.
Adesanya dealt with that well when they fought. He's just gonna try more tricks. You know, he's gonna think of more stuff to use against him, and same with Izzy. And they're both gonna come in with their crazy striker game plans
Right.
and go nuts and put on an exciting fight. So I think that'd be awesome to watch. I always prefer watching strikers fight each other than someone who's
Yeah.
just gonna hold against the fence, because it just slows down the fight, you know, like
Hmm.
unless you have a fight like our co-main,
Yeah.
Moreno versus Figueiredo, where they're going for takedowns, but they're scrambling, and it's a fast pace and it's fun to watch. And you're
Yeah,
like,
totally.
how did that happen? Like, how is he on the bottom and now he's on top and now
Yeah.
he's on the bottom and now he's getting knocked out? You know, like,
Yeah,
unless
totally.
you're watching something like that, it's a lot more fun to just watch two strikers go at
Yeah,
it.
for
So,
sure.
so yeah, I'd be down. I'd be down for the Whitaker fight for
Yeah, for sure. And
sure.
I think too that at the time, I think that's when Whitaker was kind of saying he was burnt out, right? And that he wasn't really even feeling himself. And not that he's making an excuse, but I do think that the Whitaker that would show up for a fight now would be very different from the one that fought the other one. You know what I mean? I think he would be just in a lot better shape and a lot better condition, and it would just be a different fight. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
totally down too. And I love both of them though. So I'd be torn. I would
I
be torn because
know.
I am such a Whitaker. Like, I think he's awesome. I love that guy. I think he's
I
awesome.
know. Ever since I heard he was a gamer and he was playing Don't Starve, I've been a fan. I'm like, like at first I was like, he's pretty good, you
He's
know, he's
awesome.
pretty good,
Yeah.
but you know, like he's karate style. I think I'm kind of a little salty towards karate
Right.
styles because like I've been beat by a few.
Right.
but uh but yeah, like he's ever since he said he was playing Don't Starve, I've been a fan. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
you play Don't Starve and you knock people out. And you're like, okay.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well,
I can
you
stand now.
yeah, he's awesome. I think he's great. Gamer or not gamer, but yeah, you mentioned Moreno. So that fight was insane. It was the rematch. They had a majority draw back in December.
Yeah.
And Brandon Moreno ended up submitting Davis and Figueiredo. And going into this one, after watching the weigh-ins, I actually was saying to people, I was like, Figueiredo didn't look that great at weigh-ins, but that's happened
Mm,
before, and then he's still gone on to have a great performance. So, but based on the
yeah.
weigh-ins, you would think, yeah, you might want to put your money on Moreno. I've just been a big Moreno fan ever since The Ultimate Fighter, kind of the same reason I've been a Whitaker fan ever since then. But like, we used to do Tough Talk, and so I met Brandon like right away, and his story of being the last one and like not doing well and getting cut and coming back, and he has
Yeah.
such a great story of redemption. And then I would see him a lot over when we would film UFC Now, and he would shoot UFC Ahora, the Spanish version, and I would see him, and I always had to make sure I went in and saw him and got a hug or got a picture. Like, he has the best smile in the world. He's just pure
Hmm.
positive energy. So to see him as champion, it's McLovin as champion. He's the first Mexican born champ for the
Yeah.
UFC, which is just awesome. So I think it's just great. I don't think, how can you not love that kid? How can you not love him?
Dude, he's awesome. He's so cool. I got to kind of share a fight camp with him when we were getting ready for Mexico City a few
Yeah.
years ago. So we were in Zacatecas, which was a small city that was maybe 1,000 feet higher than Mexico City. I think it was like
Oh, wow.
9,000 feet
That's high.
elevation, and in Mexico City is like 8,000 or something like that. And so we shared a fight camp together, and he's just every day he's just all smiles. Like it doesn't matter if he's cutting weight, it doesn't matter if he's like injured or working through something or frustrated. Like every day, like all smiles, just happy to be there, happy to like just have the opportunity to do what he loves. And his journey is so similar to mine, where I just see like I'm just totally inspired by it.
Yeah.
I'm completely inspired by his last performance, and even more so by this one because he
Right.
got the job done. He got the finish. It's like my main like, oh, Angela, you need to get the finish. You need to get the finish, and he did that shit. He
Yeah.
did it, and I did think that he was edging it in the last fight. So to
Yeah.
see him go back and prove and figure out ways to just like take it out of the judge's hands,
So
like it's
great.
so inspirational. It's so cool to see. And he's a true 125er, like you said. Like
Yeah.
he's not huge and then whittling himself down and then blowing back up the next day. He's a little guy,
Yeah.
so it's really awesome to see the little guy win. I think that's another reason why I was excited when Rose won, because
Yep.
she's kind of a natural strawweight. She's not huge. She's not like cutting from like 150 like a lot of the
Right.
girls do.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the skinny guy like go in there and just use skill over brawn and skill over like just sheer weight and
Yeah.
physics, so yeah, I was really, we were on the edge of our seats. I was watching it with Wilson Hayes, who also trained with him a lot.
Oh, nice.
And we were just like on the edge of our seats, like, oh, he's doing so good. He's doing so
He's
good.
doing
I
so
think he
good.
won that round. Oh, he's definitely winning
Oh,
this round. Oh my God, he's on his
he's got
back.
it. Oh
Like,
my God.
it was amazing. It
Yeah.
was so good to see. And we know all the guys in his corner. Like we've spent so much time with those
Mhm.
guys on the mats and just like at Alliance and in Mexico.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was really awesome to see all of them, like how happy they were, all their hard work paying off. Like I'm just like so happy for those guys. They're like brothers to me, so I'm so
Nice.
happy for 'em.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Brandon is just a real positive, yeah, success story. And he was so
Yeah,
emotional and the speech after, and he's just, yeah, it was, yeah, that was intense. And I love the fact that the division that we thought a little while ago was going to be gone forever or whatever,
hmm
now has somebody that, and that's not to say that DJ wasn't likable, because I think he was incredibly likable, but that somebody like when you have Brandon Moreno, where you have the potential to get an entire country behind him too now, in
hmm
terms of
hmm
all the people who support this, who support MMA will get behind him, because how could you not? And so
yeah,
he has the
yeah.
potential to just become a real star and a real lightning rod for other
Mhm.
fighters in that part of the world.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, they're gonna have another Mexico City show, and he's gonna headline. It's gonna be insane, insane. I can't
Yeah, it'll be so
wait.
fun. It'll be so fun. So, so Nate Diaz is a superstar, and
Ah,
folks who don't know should know that Angela and I both love Nate. We are both big, Diaz fans, and so, I there were moments where it looked like he was going to be able to get it done, Angela, but
yeah, he pulled it out. So I only got to see the last round because I was
mm,
traveling.
yeah,
But he looked good in that last round, man. Like it's kind of that risk you take as a technician, Leon, he's such a technician.
mm-hmm,
He's so good at just being
yeah,
ahead and picking his shots and landing the pretty stuff. But at a certain point, like in a 5 round fight, you can always accidentally let a moment happen. And that's kind of what happened with the Diaz fight, where towards the fifth round, you're 4 rounds up, it's easy to kind of let your guard down and get a little slower on your feet, a little flatter. You're more tired. You already know that you have the first four in the
right,
bag. He hasn't hit you with anything that really hurt you yet. So it's easy for, if they decide, okay, everything's going in this punch, it's easy for that punch to get through just because of
yeah,
all those factors. So
yeah,
that seems to be what happened there. Like Leon he was still like bouncing, but even his corner said like in between rounds, like, hey, you're getting a little flat footed. We need you to start moving around and, start landing your leg kicks and this and that. And, Diaz was able to just like fucking Terminator, walk him down, took a bunch of shots walking him down, but he landed his. And Diaz is always, both of them have always had that, like, deceptional power
yeah,
where it doesn't look like they'll just be landing like pop, 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 and it'll look like they're just like boom, but it's that pop at the end, then they generate so much power there. So you're just like, wait, is this guy throwing a fight? Like, why are they so wobbly right now? He just tapped them. Like they have crazy power, and I've always loved that about those guys. But yeah, Nate just landed on him, taunted him for a second, then was like, "Oh shit, I fucked him up," and then
Totally.
and then came forward. It was a really cool way to end the fight. Everyone was on their seats. It was amazing. This is why he gets flown in after like 5 years out. You know,
Right.
like people know he's gonna put on a fight. People know he's a fucking dog, and he's gonna go in there
Totally.
and just show his toughness, show his resilience, and show his skill as a boxer and as an MMA fighter.
Yeah, that's the thing too, like you said about his punches, because they're not fast. You see them coming, but like you said, they have power on him or something. Yeah, and he'd land something, but it, yeah, you can't ever count him out. And so that's the whole thing. The more the fight went on, the more you knew, like, oh, this is when we get Nate, turns it up and stuff like that. And all the taunting was crazy. Like, they're like turning the back a little bit and then coming back
Yeah.
up and just all of it. And the whole time I was like, the freaking, like, that's why we freaking love the Diaz's. Like, they just bring a show. And like you said, they always throw down, win or lose. They just deliver. And, Leon was saying something that, he lost a little, you lose a little focus at the end there. And, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, wait, yeah, no, no, I gotta like wake back up here. Cause this guy's still in it. But, he had a lot of respect for Nate. And that's the thing, like Nate said after that he had gotten cut in camp. Remember, they were supposed to fight earlier, and then the fight got pushed back a little bit. It's because he had gotten cut in camp, and he said that he kind of lost his motivation, so he really wasn't that motivated to train, he said. But he did then say that he wants to fight again later this year, though. So it's not that he
nice.
Isn't motivated to fight at all. It's just that something, I guess, about this fight delaying it or whatever. Just he said he kind of lost his motivation in camp, which I'm not sure what that means. But then said, yeah, he wants to fight again this year, which is great. Yeah, and so it's funny because I had put out on Twitter or something like, hey, yeah, yada yada. Leon did something, whatever, and Nate showed why he's a superstar. And then somebody writes back, "Well, superstars don't have records of 22 and 12 or whatever." I don't remember exactly what Nate's record is. I'm like, dude, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you're not looking at the big picture here. And for those people who don't quite get it, as a fighter, for you guys, the record is important, but the record doesn't tell the whole story. And the record, in a lot of cases, really doesn't tell the story of who the fighter is. And so people just shouldn't go by that. You cannot look at a Diaz record and be like, that guy sucks. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I was kind of triggered by that comment.
Don't be triggered. I block that guy every day. I block that guy once a day since I got into the UFC.
Yeah.
And my record wasn't that bad yet,
Right.
So,
Right.
like people talk shit when they don't know anything, and a lot of there are fighters who are undefeated, but that's all they have. Like, literally, their record is all they have because they're boring as dog shit to watch. You just watch it, like, there's so many fighters like that. And they come in and, like, the whole promo is undefeated.
Right.
10-0. Never lost.
Right.
But, like, the highlights are, like, them sitting on top of someone and guard go like that. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're undefeated, but no one actually wants to watch you fight. And when you have someone like Nate Diaz, people are gonna watch him fight no matter what his record looks like. He could be in the negative, and people are still gonna watch him fight. They're still gonna tune in, because it's exciting. He's fun. He like taunts. He looks really cool. He's gangster, like he just embodies this like character, and you always want to root for him. He's just tough as nails, and he never goes away. Like, no one can put him down. He's this crazy like entity, like again, an homage to the older Pride days where you just had like fucking tough guys who were in there and just beating people up and not caring about, like, not giving a fuck about, like, what the other guys bringing to the table. They're just in there to fight. Like, it's a fight. Like, a lot of people treat fights as a sport more, and you can see it in their style.
Right.
Nate's always fighting. Like, he's
Yeah, totally. Oh,
like,
it's a
he's
fight.
never
Yeah.
he's never thinking about points. He's always fighting,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why he's cool to watch. That's why he's exciting, because it's always going to be an entertaining fight.
And like you said, you can't get rid of him because I was sitting really close. I was sitting in the little press section, so I was just 3 rows deep. And so you could see and basically feel those shots. Leon landed some serious stuff, like some serious
Yeah.
pow, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, dang, big time stuff. And yeah, Nate's like, what, what?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. He just
just
has a
bring
good chin.
it some more. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw,
Yeah.
and Nick was there too, said hi to him after. It was great. It just sucks because, it is more fun when they win, but at the same time, it's kind of past that at this point. So.
Yeah, well, having that moment is a win in itself, like, if it was just a shutout, or like the Masvidal fight where he just got outworked and then they
Right.
eventually stopped it. If it was just a shutout, then you'd be a little more bummed, right? But because he had that big moment where if he just had like one extra minute, he might have
Right.
been able to reset and then
Yes.
get that boom again, like if he just had 1 minute. The
minute.
problem was he only had a minute. He didn't have time to like
Right.
shake his arms.
He's
out.
shaking.
Like,
I know he
had to
needed
go.
just a little more
He
time.
he
Yeah.
had to go. If he took a second to get some juice back in his arms, then the bell would have rung. So yeah, that moment just it just solidifies the reason that you're a fan of his. You're like,
Yeah.
that's why I remember now. Yep, he's a dog.
That's right. That's right. Well, you just mentioned shaking the arms out. So people thought that Jamahal Hill's arm had gotten broken by Paul Craig, but it was not actually
Excellent
broken.
transition.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm good at that. So, it was of leading up to the fight. Jamahal was kind of barking a lot, and kind of like what you were talking about a moment ago, being undefeated. You have a lot of bravado and a lot of swagger. And so kind of all leading up to the fight, he was much more vocal and Paul was much more mellow about everything. And just really, was just more confident in his jiu-jitsu. But Jamahal was saying that he was ready to test that. And, but it went right to it, obviously. And Jamahal did not get out of it. And at one point it looked to me like he was trying to tap, but that his arm was kind of flailing around and that he couldn't even really tap. And then I was thinking, well, he could just kind of yell, whatever. But so then Paul had to transition. So then it actually got ruled a TKO, but now they might be calling it a technical submission, which is kind of funky and strange. But at the moment, everybody thought the arm was broken, but in fact isn't broken. It was just dislocated, but still it was pretty gnarly.
I mean, you still have to stop the fight with the dislocation too. So I'm glad it's just dislocated. Oh,
Yeah.
It was so nasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to clarify, Jamahal Hill is not a boring fighter that
Right.
really
No,
has
no, no.
undefeated. So that's the good thing about him is like even in this loss, like he didn't tap.
I know.
So,
Oh, he'll level up from this for
I'll
sure.
never say enough to fighters. Like if I know someone who lost, but they did it in a crazy, like exciting manner, I'm like, dude, your stock did not go down. Like, if anything, the UFC and Uncle Dana, if there's anything he loves someone who will go out on their shield. And that's
Right.
what he did. Like his arm was flopping around, but he's still punching Craig in the face. Like, what? You should be tapping with that hand. Don't punch him.
Yeah.
It's over. But, like, he went out like a warrior, man. He was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Back. My arm is like, they're not stopping it. I'm not gonna tap because I'm good. Like, I can keep fighting like this. Maybe I can pop my arm back in if he lets go. And he's just like punch him in the face as Craig is elbowing him in the face. Like, that was an insane finish.
Yeah.
Like, probably the craziest submission finish I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
like,
it was wild.
It
was wild. So he
nuts.
got a bonus for that. He got a bonus for that. And Drew Dober and Brad Riddell got fight of the night, which was great. Brandon Moreno also got a performance bonus. But yeah, so
nice.
maybe, maybe Paul will get, he's trying to climb the rankings, obviously, and see, so there's higher ranked people and, that can work the grappling and maybe they can see, you can get something and kind of move up the rankings because they were both 14 and 15 going into this one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's hard to advance. But yeah, the Dober fight was great. I'm trying to think what else kind of really stood out to me because that one was just back and forth so much. Like they were like, and I don't know how like either of them took what the punches that they did. Like I can't believe it was wild like what they survived.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I need to catch up on. The Dober. That was one of the ones that I like earmarked, like, gotta watch this fight. Can't miss this one. And your boy won too.
Your boy, Eric. Yeah, Eric won his fight. Yeah. With Darren.
Oh wait, no, well, not Eric. Not that your boy.
Oh, I'm like, your boy. Yeah.
Bully, yeah, Belal.
Oh, and Bully B, yes, of course, Belal, yes. Belal won his fight with Demian Maia, which, means I know so much to him to, be a legend like that. And, because, I talked to Belal before that fight and like, it sucked having that fight with Leon and with the eye poke and really not get to prove himself. And, this was a nice chance to, because some people just, I think, at the time were like, oh, he didn't deserve a main event, with the number 3 ranked guy or whatever. So for him to be able to go out there and beat Demian, former title challenger and all that is really, I think a really nice thing for him to be able to say, no, look, I really do belong here. It's not that I don't. I was, definitely happy for him. But when you said, ya boy, I'm like, oh, ya boy. Yeah, Eric.
Yeah.
With that rematch. Actually, ya boy. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's funny.
That's so funny.
That was good.
Yeah, good for him too, man. All the good guys. Well, like a lot of the people I like in my
that we know or that are friends with. Yeah.
So I feel good about that. Like I always come out of a card a little more like optimistic about the future when that happens. Like, yay. People I had cool interactions with are doing good. Like hopefully that rubs off on me at some point.
Yeah, I think of that too. Like all my friends are winning. If my friends are winning and doing good things, hopefully that'll rub off.
I think that's why people love sports, right? Like you're like, I'm rooting for this team. I'm rooting for this team. My team won. That means I'm a winner. That means I'm gonna win at my office party or something. like I don't know. What do regular people do? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's that vicarious living. It's 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 actually, to be honest with you, the term is called basking in reflected glory. I was sociology was one of my majors in college. Anyway, that's what it is called. And it's, yes, the glory is reflected back and you feel like their victory is yours and it's part of something that you can celebrate along to help raise your own status and things like that. So. And to
basking
in reflected glory. Yeah.
Reflected glory.
Yeah, basking in reflected glory. I believe that's the term. I haven't looked it up or said it in a long time.
I'm gonna drop that shit on.
Yeah, I mean, double check it now. I'm like, wait, basking, but that's what it was. Basking in reflected glory. Yeah. And because people do it all the time. Yeah. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
You before we were recording, you had asked me about the Jojo Lauren Murphy fight because, I know a lot of people on Twitter were kind of going back and forth on that one. I didn't see it as a robbery. Like I was like, okay, yeah, Lauren won. Like I wasn't surprised. She seemed to me to land maybe the harder shots some of the time. I wasn't surprised by that call and I couldn't find myself to get angry about it. I know Jojo fans are, she's got a lot of rabid fans. I thought it was a close fight. I can't be mad at that. I can't be like, I'm like, yeah, it was close.
I really wish that they would do more draws.
Yeah.
Like not, I feel like I just imagine underwear and I was like, Did I say it right? But yeah.
No, yeah, draws.
I
Yeah.
feel like they should do more draws in MMA. I feel like it's really unfair that you can have like a close round and then just coin toss and be like, okay, we'll say that girl won
Right.
round one. And then you have another close round, and one judge will be like, that girl won. And then one judge will be like, maybe that girl won. And then you have a third round that's dominant, but because two judges scored it for another girl on the close rounds, the dominant round is pretty much nixed. You know what I mean? So I feel like dominant rounds can't just be 10-8 rounds. Like a dominant round, or it can't just be like a 10-9 round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's dominant round without someone like kind of dying in there.
Yeah.
So they've been a little, like, judges have been a little more lax with giving out 10-8s.
Yeah,
Because like if they just like dominate the whole time, but sometimes you have a dominant round, but it's still competitive. And if you go and have a close round, that's going to count the same as a dominant round. If you see what I'm saying, does that make sense?
I do, and I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So I feel like there should be more draw rounds, like those close rounds where you can't really decide who won it. You should just make it a draw round. Like take the all that extra like effort out of it, or that extra like brain power. And well, they might have landed 10 shots and the other person landed 11. Like it's a draw. Like just make it a draw round, you know. And then whoever ends up breaking away from the pack, you know, like just breaking away from that like hit for hit rhythm, and actually hitting more and landing more, that person has a better chance of actually winning if they have like more dominant rounds than the other person. So like the close rounds need to be just marked as close rounds, I feel like. And that's why there's so much discrepancy, because people will see a close round and whatever they're seeing in their brain, like maybe they're rooting for Jojo, or maybe they count takedowns better than I don't know, better than strikes. They're gonna think that even though it was a close round, maybe Jojo took it, or maybe that one took it, just because they feel forced to pick a winner.
Well, because they have
If
to,
you don't
right?
feel forced, if you don't feel forced to pick a winner, then you're gonna call it a draw round.
I see what you're saying, too. I know it. Yeah, no, that makes sense, because a lot of time, you are like, nobody really won that round. Like, you know, and even a lot of the time when we're sitting there at work and I'm sitting with, you know, professional fighters and professional analysts, and we're like, who won that round? We're like, I don't know. Like, you know, maybe she did.
Round.
Maybe, yeah. So, I mean, I guess that also, though, kind of begs the bigger question in general, though, like how much does a draw bum you out on your record? Because, you know, I would feel that there's part of you where you go through all this camp and you go through all the blood, sweat, and tears to get to a fight. To have it end in a draw seems anticlimactic, and it seems like a letdown, but at the same time it's better than a loss, right? So if that resulted in overall, just in general too, the idea of more draw fights as opposed to more split decisions. Do you know what I mean? You'd be okay with your record having like 20 wins, 4 losses, and 6 draws? Like, you know what I mean? Like, does it, because then to me a draw sounds even more like, oh, she couldn't even pull off a unanimous decision. Like they were like so unsure that she couldn't even do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But look at Marina Rodriguez. She has like 3 draws on her record. And she's doing fine. She's maybe about to fight for a title. So it doesn't slow you down in the climb. You know what I mean? If you get a draw, if I had gotten a draw against Gedalia, my ranking might have gone up. Right. You know, if I had gotten a draw against Michelle, my ranking might have gone up, because I was ranked under 10 and they were ranked like top 5 or whatever, top 5 or 6. So there's a difference. There's a difference from losing, even though nobody knows who won. There's a difference in losing that fight where it's a toss up, as opposed to getting a draw or getting a win where nobody knows who won. There's a huge difference. So when it comes to rankings and climbing and trying to build momentum, like if you have a draw and then you have a bunch of wins, and there's a draw in the middle, they'll still say you're on a 5-fight win streak. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not going
to say unbeaten streak. We say she's on a 6-fight unbeaten streak. That's how we phrase it. If you ever hear that
there you
phrase,
go.
that means there was a draw in there. We say win if it's a win streak, but we
Exactly.
say unbeaten if there's a draw. Yeah.
And that sounds more positive than she won like 4 out of her
Four
last
out of our last
5 fights.
6, yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely makes a difference. And as a person who's never won a split decision in my life, it would be nice if people counted the draw rounds as draws, because it'll also make the difference in that round that actually wins you the fight. If
Yeah.
it's like a even fight until the third round and then someone pulls ahead, then the person who won that last round wins the fight. It's
Looks
not
like they won.
like,
Yeah.
oh well, two judges thought that that person threw like one extra punch the first 2 rounds, even though it was very even until that last moment where like the person who won the third round pretty much like
Yeah.
beat their ass. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's my argument on it. Obviously, I have a lot of experience on the losing side of it, so that's why I'm so like passionate about how to fix it so other people
Yeah.
don't have to experience what I've experienced. But yeah, I think it would make judging a lot more fair. And every card there's a call where I'm just like, what? Like how?
Right.
And I think that's the reason, because like you feel forced to pick a winner even when it's a
Right.
close round, and then the obvious rounds are lost.
Well, right. Well, that's exactly why, too, you hear the phrase about stealing the round when coaches always know, or you'll hear people announce when there's maybe only 30 seconds left in a round to try to push and get a takedown or show something big. Because, yeah, maybe it was a very close round where it didn't really seem like somebody was winning. And if you can leave a
Mhm.
lasting impression in the judge's eyes before they go to write that down, where, like you just said, they have to pick somebody, if you're the freshest
Yeah.
thing in their mind, looking aggressive or looking like you're pushing the action or whatever, then it's obviously
Mhm.
advantageous to do that. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm
My
curious
two
what you
cents.
think of Terrence McKinney, the kid who came in with the knockout in
Oh,
so fast. So he has the fourth fastest finish now. It's the fastest finish in UFC history. I did one of my after the facts videos, can check them out. But fourth fastest overall, the fastest in UFC history. Just wow, like just
yeah.
he
It was
just
so fast. He felt the need to injure himself afterwards. That's how fast he's like. You know what? No one's gonna believe I was in a fight. Let me just like fuck up my knee real quick. That was so funny. I was looking down eating at the airport bar, and then I looked up and I'm like, whoa, what happened? And then I see him limping and
right.
celebrating. I'm like, well, I guess there was like a kick thrown or something, or like maybe he like hurt his foot kicking him in the head. And then I saw the replay and I'm like, oh, wait, so how did he? Oh, and then I saw
Oh
like celebration.
yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty funny. Not funny because he might be out for a long time because of that, but hopefully it's just a sprain and not anything serious. But yeah, good for him, man. That was his debut, right?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that his UFC debut? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane to go there and do that. Oh man, and it was just like a 1-2. Like it
I
was
know.
perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
And
insane.
I felt bad because at the ceremonial weigh-ins, Matt Fravola's dad, I think it was his dad and part of his family, was coming down to try to sit, near, they kind of reserve parts of it for us in the media. And so we're centered and we have good seats for it.
Hmm.
And so then the dad, I'm pretty sure it was his dad, came down and he was kind of talking to the security guy, like, oh, but my son is going to be, weighing in, and Matt, Favola. And so then I felt so bad because then I felt like I had like I don't have a personal connection, but you know what I mean? Like knowing his
Yeah.
dad was right there, like rooting for his boy. And like, and then it just kind of hurt my heart, like knowing that it ended so fast, like, pow, pow, like
Yeah.
he just ate a knuckle sandwich. Just, just,
Uh,
just and so I thought, oh, like just the heartbreak of Matt
yeah.
himself, obviously being the one on the receiving end of that and losing a fight that quickly. But all of the effort, all of the hope. I always say this with any fight that ends quickly like that. Just like the hope, the dreams, the effort,
Hmm.
all of it, think of all of the effort it took for all of his friends and family or whatever to get to the arena, like just that alone, the flying in, the coming to Phoenix, the getting of the tickets, the acquiring of the vaccine or whatever, or if they did or they didn't, but like 4 seconds, it's over.
It's horrible, man.
Horrible.
It's
I think that's just the worst.
It is the worst. The only upside is thinking of, uh fuck, what's his name? Thinking of the guy who won family.
Oh,
Thinking of
McKinney.
his
Yeah,
work,
the upside of it
all
is his side,
hard work.
the elation on his side of the family.
Yeah, exactly. And just thinking about how, his life has changed now.
Yeah.
In that amount of time, his entire life has changed. He's like on the up. He's gonna get a bonus. He's gonna get or I don't know. Did he get a bonus for that?
He did not get a bonus, but he was talking about his whole life in general, though. Like he's turned his life around. So like he's a form, gone through some really hard times. So he's a success story as it is already.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the only upside. But yeah, man, I hate to see that. And I get so nervous whenever it's somebody that I know personally, like not just someone I like, but someone that I know, that I train with, that I just like see every day when they're in there fighting. It's just like I don't enjoy it at all. It's not fun for me. I'm just like my heart wrenches on every punch they take, even if they've been like owning the person the entire time. They take one punch, I'm like,
I know.
Just freaking out. And I feel so bad for my mom who has to like watch me fight too and go through that whole process herself. It's just so crazy how ruthless MMA is. And that's why people watch it, because it's insane. It's insane. You never know what's going to happen. It's a ruthless sport. Like it's very unforgiving. It takes no prisoners, like it's like you go in there, you get knocked out in 7 seconds. People are like, that's MMA, that's that can always happen. Doesn't matter how good you are. Like, doesn't matter how undefeated you are. Like that could always happen to you. And that's why people watch. That's why the fans are going crazy all night, because of how unpredictable it is and how crazy the wins and the losses are. It's nuts.
It's high drama. It's definitely high drama, but
it's like Game of Thrones. If there was a sport that had to mimic Game of Thrones, MMA is a sport. Like kill off the main character. We don't care.
For sure. No, I'm just freaking out. My computer is sending me a message saying that I'm like running out of space, but it still says it's recording. So I hope that it is on this, but I don't know.
Oh no.
I might need to.
We can wrap it up.
Yeah, we could wrap it up, because I would hate for this thing to die. But yes, it's high drama. But yeah, we could wrap it up. That would make sense to me. Yeah. Anyway, it was a great event, and congratulations to the new champ and to the and still champ. On Instagram, I'm KarynBryant. Everywhere else, KarYN Bryant, as in Kobe, no relation, but may he rest in peace. Angela, where can people find you?
You can find me at Angie Overkill on Instagram, Twitter, and you can find me at Overkill Hill on TikTok.
All right, and still, everybody, hold your breath for those OnlyFans.
Hey, you never know.
That was a really cute bikini you were rocking in that weight cut picture, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was feeling myself a little bit. Just got a bikini online, and I was like excited that it actually fit. So I'm like, oh, cool.
It's really cute.
Nice.
It's really cute. All right, folks, and the show is also available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.